All right, get in, loser. We're going healing. Did you ever ask yourself why is it that you just can't sit alone without scrolling, without music, without something to keep you busy or to kind of entertain you? No friends, no plans, no nothing, just by yourself. And why does that make you feel so uncomfortable? It's almost like silence feels like punishment. If you are the type of person that thinks that being in solitude is sad, or you cannot be alone, you always have to have people around you, can't really hang out on your own much, like you can't go to the cinema alone, you can't go, to the beach alone, whatnot. Because I'll tell you what, if you can't be by yourself, with yourself, and without a single distraction at hand, you are just avoiding yourself. You are running away from yourself. You are keeping yourself busy 24/7, not because you want to be productive and not because you're hardworking, because you're just scared of what comes up when you're alone. And this is something, by the way, that I was doing unconsciously, okay? It's actually because you're scared of the things that come up in the quiet. You are afraid of your own thoughts. You are afraid of meeting the real version of you that you've buried for so long because, you're performing. Under all of the distractions, under all of the noise, the people, the music. If you cannot sit without any music or any distractions, you constantly need something to listen to. You constantly need someone to talk to. You are not living, actually. You're hiding. Again, hiding from the real you that is screaming for your attention, but you just keep muting them because you don't want that version to come up because you're scared if you meet the real you, maybe you won't feel as liked or as accepted. When you are alone, you finally hear the unprocessed thoughts that you have been avoiding all along. You sit and you feel through the anxiety that you have kind of been suppressing and just ignoring with distractions, doom scrolling or music or whatnot. If you are feeling, anxious, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling fearful, if you're feeling these kind of negative emotions, the more that you suppress it, with distractions, the more that they are gonna show up louder in different aspects of your life. And it just gets to a point of being so overwhelming to the point that you just decide to ignore everything. And because sitting with that feeling brings you so much discomfort, this is why you keep yourself busy. This is why you fill up your schedule up to the brim just so that you don't have a second to sit and think. And this is why you romanticize the hustle culture. This is why you glamorize the always booked, always busy culture. But deep down, you're just scared of being alone with your mind. And this is the biggest sign for yourself that your healing is long overdue. Coming from somebody that was kind of doing this for the longest time ever, especially also when I started working in corporate, and because I was performing this lifestyle that I didn't even want for myself, I just thought that this was what success meant. I thought all this stuff was going to make me happy. The more that I kind of ignored that feeling, the more that I tried to convince myself even more that no, like this is just adulthood. It may be hard on you mentally right now, but maybe it could get better down the line. And I was basically suppressing all these feelings. I was keeping myself even busier and even more overwhelmed. I reached a point of extreme burnout that I just didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't want to accept the idea that I was in a very toxic and very harming mental state. Like my mental health was just going down the drain and I didn't want to accept that. And I kept suppressing just so that I don't, sit and think about it and make a change because I was so scared of change. Because, it's just risky leaving your job and just healing from burnout, right? And then it reached a point where it finally got silent. When I finally got too tired and felt too exhausted to just keep doing it all the time, that it just became silent. And that brought me the questions that I was not ready to answer, but I knew that I had to answer them at one point because my life could not continue like that I was so unhappy with. And I eventually realized, like, if I cannot just sit with myself, how the hell am I ever supposed to heal? And it was also around that time that I also started going into therapy. And that was basically like a catalyst or like a push for me to actually start healing. It was therapy plus sitting in silence with myself. So this is the mindset shift that you need. Silence is not the enemy. Okay, being alone is not the enemy. Being in solitude is not sad, like most people portray it. It's just your mirror. If you cannot face these thoughts inside your head, that means that you don't really know yourself. And it brings you too much discomfort to get to know the real you. It's like you're just scared to strip off the mask that you've been wearing all along performing just because you are afraid that if you do show the real you, you're not gonna be as liked or as accepted or as loved. If you keep running away from the mirror and you're too scared to take off that mask and look at the real you in the mirror, you will never see what needs to be healed. You'll just keep pretending that you're fine. You're gonna keep telling everybody that you're just busy. But here's the thing with healing. If you never face these thoughts, you will never grow. It's just gonna be this toxic cycle of constantly sitting with these negative thoughts and you never being able to change something about it. That ache that you feel alone, it's not something to run away from. You have to listen to it. This is why, it's so important that any negative feeling that comes up, whether it be fear, whether it be anger, whether it be sadness, this is literally like a free tool that you can use to actually uncover what actually matters to you and may not matter to other people. You just have to sit with it long enough to actually understand your feelings, because negative feelings are not just there to punish you. They're there to make you understand yourself even further. That ache is basically introducing you to the parts of yourself that you have been neglecting for so long, or maybe you've been taught to neglect growing up. So here's how you can start facing yourself without emotionally spiraling. Just like any other habit that you build, you always start small. Just start with something as simple as 10 minutes daily. Turn off all the noise for 10 minutes a day. No distractions, no social media, no phone, no music, no podcast, no people around you, and just breathe. Let the thoughts come. Okay, whatever you're feeling overwhelmed about and whatever you're trying to suppress, let them just flow. You are not trying to fix anything quite yet, you're just trying to notice. And by noticing, you're going to start feeling. And then if you feel like you have to write these things down, like you want to journal them, either it be on paper or like in your notes app or whatnot, this will bring your mind so much clarity, because as human beings, our minds are so freaking complex. It's almost like a math equation. Unless you're like really, really genius level Einstein, you cannot really solve math equations in your head. So you need to write them down on paper and you need to solve them. And that's the same with your brain. You have to write down your thoughts and you have to actually understand how your thought process is like, so that you can understand why you may think the way that you do, or tend to have these negative thoughts, or basically emotionally spiral every now and then. Or if something bothered you, if someone said something that really bothered you and you kind of suppressed it, and then you were in a bad mood the entire day, but you never really noticed why that made you feel sad or why that bothered you so much. You have to be aware of it and you have to notice it. Like, you just write whatever comes up. If you're feeling anxious and you don't understand why you're feeling anxious, just write it down. The dots will connect one day, okay? But you just have to start the process. And then ask yourself questions, the hard questions. If you are keeping yourself busy on purpose and you don't know the reason for it, ask yourself that. What am I trying to avoid exactly? What scares me about being alone? You have all the answers that you ever needed inside of you. So you don't need to ask somebody, you don't need to ask anybody's opinion about you. You just need to discover that about you. Because you know what? Also nowadays, hustle culture is glorified so much that stillness almost feels like a shame. Forget that. Cut down all that noise and sit with yourself in stillness with no absolute shame. Okay? You're human, you're not a robot. Remind yourself that we literally didn't come on this earth to work like robots 24/7. So if you're doing that, then there must be something wrong. Sitting with yourself should not feel like a punishment. Taking rest and sitting long enough with your thoughts is not a luxury. Also, detach from dopamine, the constant scrolling, the constant binging and planning, and you are basically conditioning your brain. You're telling your brain in one way or another that, we should just stay surface level. We don't really have to go deeper than that. We don't really have to uncover any feelings or anything like that. We just have to plan our life away for the next 5 years, and then we have to act upon that and follow it like to the T, without like feelings, without nothing. And what that does to your nervous system, basically it puts it in survival mode, right? Because of the constant doing, because you're not even allowing yourself to sit and have feelings. You're not allowing yourself to be human, basically. You just have to stop running from yourself. Healing is never gonna happen when you're surrounded by people. Healing is never gonna happen when you cannot just sit in silence. You always have to have background noise. It does not happen when you're distracted. It will happen in the stillness, in the silence. You're gonna start shedding everything. You're gonna start unlearning all of the toxic traits that you have been accustomed to all your life, and you're just gonna figure out finally the real you. All the things that you've been avoiding, whether it be because you've been accustomed to or you are doing it unconsciously to your own as like a form of self-sabotage. Stop looking for other people to fix you. Stop looking for peace in other people. Stop looking for entertainment from other people. Stop thinking that the noise will fix the chaos inside. The real you that's trying to come out underneath all the noise, they're not scary. They're just ignored. They've just been ignored your entire life. They never felt heard. They never felt like their own voice mattered or their own intuition mattered. So imagine how traumatizing that might be. Imagine you doing that to a friend. They're just gonna unfriend you. Like, if you just keep ignoring a person and calling them your friend and saying that you love them and that you appreciate them, but you never really hear them and you never really really listen to them. You never really allow them to be their real self without you judging them all the time, without you being hard on them all the time. You have to treat yourself like that friend. You have to treat yourself, your inner child, as if it was your own child. Would you be okay with treating them that way? So you have to start acting like you would to that friend and finally meet them.